Welcome back to MVM. Today we're going to bring you a Kickstarter preview. This one is for Sweet Mess from Big Kid Games. It is a 2 to 4 player game. It takes 45 to 60 minutes. Very quick playing game. It's got some similarities to games like Splendor. It's a little bit of set collection.
It's like Splendor, Potion Explosion, and then this. This has a little bit more
meat on
the bones. A few different things that you can do, and a little bit more of a puzzle to solve on the main board.
So this is very much a prototype that you're looking at right now. The cool thing here that I think everyone's going to gravitate towards are these game trays. So you're going to be playing on the game tray itself, and there's some printing on here. It's kind of like your oven. And this is where you're going to be taking ingredients, kind of baking those ingredients, mixing them together in order to fulfill recipes through the course of the game. The recipes are what gives you the victory points in the game.
Yeah, the recipes are across the top of the board, and then on the rest of the board are all the bowls that hold your ingredients. It's going to start out randomly. Each of these bowls is double-sided. So you're just going to shuffle these up, put them out there. There's one bowl that holds a super ingredient. All the rest will get 2 of the type of ingredient that the bowl holds.
Right, so you're going to put that in a 4x4 grid. You're going to shuffle up all the different recipes and then put 4 face up. You're going to remove some depending upon how many players you have. We have a 3-player game, so we removed 9 cards from the stack. So let's talk about the recipe cards. When you look at these recipes, they're going to show you the dessert that you're trying to make. It's going to show you a number of victory points that these are worth. Some of the cards are immediate, meaning you bake them immediately. Some of them go into the oven. For instance, this one requires it to go in the oven for 2 rounds, meaning it's going to stay in front of you and go down this progression system until it's fully baked and then goes into your baked desserts. They also show you the types of ingredients that you need. All these different circular tokens are the ingredients that you're going to be putting into your oven and baking. And on the bottom, there are some icons here that denote mastery tiles. We'll talk about that when we talk about the actual oven itself.
Yeah, and then you've also got event cards. These are in the upper right-hand side of the board. These are going to be turned over after so many desserts are taken from the board. Remember, when you take a dessert, you don't necessarily, it's not made unless it's an immediate one, but as soon as 3 or 4 of these are taken, depending on player count, you're going to flip over one of these, and it just has usually an immediate effect that affects the game board or affects the players in some way, shape, or form.
Everyone else is also going to start with 1 baking bonus point. These are used to kind of power special abilities on your board. Let's also talk about the game trays themselves. So I'm going to point over here at David so you guys can see it. On the game tray, there's a number of different areas that you need to look at. First, the upper left-hand corner, you have the bench. This is where you're going to be placing all the ingredients that you acquire through the game. Anytime you acquire ingredients, they're going to go into one of these 3 slots. Once they're placed in those slots, though, you can't add ingredients to it. So there's kind of a management here on trying to get the ingredients in the right places at the right time in order to fulfill your recipes.
And when you place the ingredients in there, and I'll show you on the board again here, there's these tools below each bench. And you're going to flip those over as soon as a bench has some ingredients in it. This is going to basically activate, or not activate a power, but give it so that you can activate it. If there's no ingredients in the bench, these things aren't going to be active. Once they are, then you can use these as tools. Over to the right of the bench, you have your kitchen cart. This is going to be based on one of those powers underneath the benches. If you've activated that, you're allowed to store ingredients in your kitchen cart that gives you a little bit more flexibility in how you organize your ingredients.
You also, across the bottom, you have some open tool areas. You're allowed to use each of these 4 different open tools up to twice each for the entire game. However, they're going to require you spending some of your baking points. And once you've used those up, typically they're gone unless a specific event will unlock those for you again.
Yeah, and then the meat of the game board here are these 4 spots down in the lower left-hand corner. These are the actions you're going to be taking. We'll get into these in a second, but when you use them, you're going to place one of your player markers in it, and you can't use that action again until you've used all 4.
Yep. And the final section on the board is the upper right-hand section of the board. These are the mastery tiles in the game. As you fulfill recipes in the game, you're going to be placing them onto the right side of your game tray. Now, if you look on the bottom, these will unlock special mastery tiles, but you have to have 2 of the same type. When you have 2 of the same type, you look at that specific ingredient, and then you're allowed to flip that one over, meaning that you have 1 less cost for any future recipes that you need to fulfill for the rest of the game.
Yeah, basically, if you're able to do a little bit of set collection throughout the game, it's going to make it easier to complete more and more recipes as you gain those.
So let's talk about how to play the game. It's actually very simple. David said on the bottom left-hand corner, those are all the 4 different actions. I'll talk about the first action. It's called the basic pick. It's the most simple thing to understand. You take one of your round cylinders, you're going to place it into that first area. This is a basic pick. You pick any one of these different plates on the board, and you take all of the ingredients from that specific area. So say for instance I want to take all of these right here. I take them and I have to put them into one of my benches on my game tray. When that happens, you create a sweet mess. This is how the game gets its name. The sweet mess means you're just kind of rushing to grab all the ingredients from that area, and it's going to cause what you could also consider an explosion, and it's going to explode in an orthogonal pattern from that area. So this is a purple one. It's going to place a purple here, a purple here, a purple here, and then it's going to flip this over, revealing a different ingredient on the other side.
Yeah, that keeps the board really fresh, the flipping of the tiles. So you're going to have to manipulate not only the ingredients around the board, but the bowls themselves will be flipping. So there's a lot of things you have to do to set up the right colors and to grab at least the ingredients you want most efficiently.
Yeah, the next one is the crafty pick, and this is where you get to take one from two different ones.
Yeah, the crafty pick, this is very simple as well. You're simply going to choose two adjacent, and adjacency here is orthogonal. So you're going to take two adjacent bowls and simply take any one ingredient from each of them. Again, adding them to one of your bench slots, and again, also over to your kitchen cart if you happen to want to use that ability.
Right. The next one is the prudent pick. This is a lofty one. This requires some explanation. Yeah. So whenever you do a lofty pick, immediately the first thing that you're going to create is a sweet mess. So if I pick this tile here, it's going to create a sweet mess. So I'm going to put one on each one that's orthogonal from that particular one. Next thing I can do is I can pick any section, any plate on the board and take all the ingredients from that area. Now, it needs to be said that each of these plates can only hold 4 ingredients at a time. So if a fifth one is to be added, it simply does not get added. As soon as you make that pick from wherever I wish to go, say for instance I needed these 3 ingredients to help create a recipe. I pick these, I put them into a new bench section. Again, you can't add it to a previous bench that you've already created. And then this one too is going to create a sweet mess. So once again, I'm going to put ones all the way around this and then flip the tile.
The last one is the plan pick. This one's very simple as well. You're going to choose 2 adjacent bowls. You're going to swap one ingredient from each of those with each other, and then take all of the ingredients from one of those bowls. And again, this one's going to create a sweet mess. So when you take the ingredients, it puts ingredients from that bowl type to all of the adjacent bowls.
Now, anytime on your turn that you have all the ingredients on your bench, you're allowed to create one of the recipes as long as you have all those specific ingredients, also taking into account any of the master tiles that you flipped, because that's going to reduce the count of each of those by 1. You're going to pick up that ingredient and you're going to look at it and you're going to get rid of all of those ingredients from your bench and put it back into the supply. Then what's going to happen is on some of these cards, they require a specific amount of time to bake in your oven. On the front of your game tray, you're going to have an oven that goes from 1 to 4, and you're going to put it in that particular slot. If you don't have a slot available, you obviously can't bake it.
Right.
If you do have a slot available, you're just going to lay that face down, and at the start of each of your next progressive turns, you're allowed to move that one slot down until it falls off the game tray and becomes a new baked dessert for you.
So this is a good time to talk about the bonuses that you can score as well. You're going to score some baking bonus points as you put your desserts through the process and bake them. There's 3 of these bonuses. The first one is a creative bonus, and you're going to be able to add any 2 other ingredients on top of the ones required for the recipe in order to get 1 bonus point. These bonus points are going to be used, by the way, for these open tools. That's basically what powers them. The second bonus is the perfection bonus. This is going to allow you some flexibility here in your oven, because if you took a recipe that required the 2 space in your oven, but your 2 space was filled, you could put this token on it right here, and then it's going to move it to its 4 position. Now, this is going to make it so it takes a lot longer for that to run through the process, but you're also going to score 2 bonus points on that as well. And then finally, if you happen to clear your entire bench, not necessarily your kitchen cart, but your entire bench of all of its ingredients, you get what they call a tidy bonus. This is also going to give you 2 points to spend on your open tools.
Yeah, the open tools are like anything else in the game. They help you manipulate things. Like when you're collecting all these tiles, you're going to be in a position where you have tiles in the exact same area and you can't add because you filled up your bench. These tools are typically going to allow you to either bake faster or manipulate your board in a way that you can add new ingredients to it to be able to fulfill things on the board. So you're going to be wanting to use those, but they come at a cost, as you said, with the baking points. So you have to use those, and you only have a limited amount of them too. Each of these open tools can only be used twice, and once you're done using them, you can't use them again. And the other thing I want to mention too is that every time you take an ingredient, every time you take one of these different desserts, whether it's something that you hold to be played at a different time or you fulfill it right then or it goes to your oven, you're going to tick down this clock, as we said at the very beginning. When it hits the final spot, depending upon the number of players, you're going to reveal one of these events. These events do a variety of things. They may either refill, flip tiles, give people that are in specific positions at that time in the game some resources or not. There's a variety of different things that can happen at that point.
So you're going to be doing that around the table over and over and over until you've gotten this deck depleted. So all the recipes are out of the deck. You're going to see a card at the bottom, this guy right here, and he's going to remind you that you're going to put these tokens out on all of the final 4 recipes that are on the board. Then play is going to continue until 2 of those recipes are completed. Not taken, but taken and run through the oven if necessary and scored.
Yeah, and there's a variety of ways to score victory points. The easiest way to score victory points is just by doing a lot of baking. You have to get these cards and have them placed and out of your oven to get the victory points that is on the top left corner of them. And they come in ranges from 1 to 3 victory points. So a lot of the victory points in the game are going to come directly from those cards.
Yeah, so you can play a strategy where you get a lot of immediate recipes and don't have to go through the oven, or you can get some higher value recipes and run them through the whole process.
And there's also some set collection within the game too. There's set collection for making the same types of desserts. There's ones for making different types of desserts, and depending upon what you have collected at the end, you're getting victory points for those as well.
And the mastery tokens are also going to score you 1 victory point for each one that you've achieved throughout the game. And finally, the baking bonus points are going to convert over to victory points as well.
So that is Sweet Mess from Big Kid Games. It is a 2 to 4 player game. Takes about 45 to 60 minutes to get through. If you guys like Splendor, if you guys like games like Potion Explosion, it's a very family-friendly game.
Yeah, it's family-friendly, very accessible, and if you could see these game trays in person, is a really, really beautiful table presence.
If you guys have any questions about the game, make them in the comments below. Subscribe to us, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, everything else that we do, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Season 2 of Man vs. Meeple is sponsored in part by Cool Stuff Inc. Cool stuff in stock at coolstuffinc.com.